Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzy. This little program I like to call the Farzy Show, and it's brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. When the Cowboys have a chance to win, you can book it that they're going to choke that game away. I thought there was no better example of the Cowboys of the last 25. I mean, there have been really good examples. There have been really good examples of the Cowboys being Cowboys, you know what I'm saying, since they won their last Super Bowl. And I really just feel like the best possible one is Dak Prescott on a 2-point conversion, stepping out of bounds as the football is just shy of the goal line. Or that Schoonmaker, whatever that tight end's name is, I never heard of it before. Him being stopped short of the goal line by Reed Blankenship. Now, Reed might have been there a little early, but it doesn't matter. He was just short of the goal line. Look, the Eagles, they won the football game yesterday. And normally I would say, oh, you know what? The Eagles didn't win it. The Cowboys lost it. The Eagles are lucky. And in a lot of avenues, the Eagles are pretty lucky. The Cowboys didn't blow the doors off of them in this game. But you know what ended up happening? The Eagles found a way to win the game. And when they needed to stop CeeDee Lamb just short of the goal line before he scored the game-winning touchdown, they found a way to stop CeeDee Lamb. The Eagles, here's the difference between the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles and the 5-3 Dallas Cowboys. Once again, the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles, number one team in the NFL, coming off an NFC championship, coming off a Super Bowl appearance. The difference between the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles and the 5-3 Cowboys, the Eagles find ways to win games. The Cowboys find ways to lose games. And in this fourth quarter, you could throw both teams violently under the bus. The Cowboys, in many instances, said, Eagles, you win this football game. And the Eagles are, no, we don't want to win this football game. You win this football game. And the Cowboys are, no, by all means, please, take this football game. And the Eagles are, no, please, you are our guests in our house. Please, take this football game. And neither team wanted to take this football game from the other team. It was bonkers. We'll go through the fourth quarter. We'll go through Brandon Graham coming into last night's game with just a half a sack, and then last night he gets a sack and a half. All right, Brandon. All right, BG. Brandon Graham's got 2 sacks in his last 2 games. Things are looking on the up and up. We'll hear from Brandon Graham, by the way. He also said after the game, maybe the coaches were preserving him for this gauntlet of football. And I'll let you know what I think about that word gauntlet now. We'll get into Jalen Hurts' performance. Jalen Hurts' performance on one leg in the second half because going into halftime, that was a little scary. Seeing Jalen Hurts drag his leg into the locker room. I know he was jogging off the field, but whatever. He went down and looked like he was in a whole heap of pain at the end of that first half. Then apparently got an IV in Nick Sirianni's office. All right, sounds odd, but sure, whatever it takes. And he comes out and he throws a couple of dimes. And he has some scrambles in there as well. I mean, go, what did they give him? And he goes, he looks a lot better. It was pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic to watch the way he played coming out of halftime. As for the offense in the fourth quarter, they left a lot to be desired. There were some big sacks in this game. Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean got credited for one. Fletcher Cox was in on one. You also had, as I mentioned, Brandon Graham. They came up with some clutch sacks in clutch moments of this football game to help put it away. But all in all, I was very surprised that the Eagles were able to – I wasn't surprised that the Eagles were able to hold on. I was surprised at what the Cowboys had to say after the game. But the fact that the Eagles had to hold on the way they did when the Cowboys were giving them so many opportunities, I thought was the definition of a divisional game. It can be sloppy. It's not always pretty. But if you just find a way to win at the end, you'll seal the deal. And that's eventually what the Eagles ended up doing. Penalties were horrible. Now, I want to jump to this because RJ Ochoa of Blogging and Boys, who does a fantastic job covering the Dallas Cowboys, I did think Reed Blankenship was in early on that stop at the goal line by Schoonmaker. But RJ Ochoa put this tweet out there, and here it is. He says, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the officiating against the Cowboys Sunday. It was obviously not great. Beyond the notion that outright blaming officials is whatever, Philly had their fair share as well. Thank you, RJ. I agree. Things weren't exactly kosher in this game. Overall, the officiating stunk, but didn't hinder the Cowboys exclusively. I agree. Look, if we are Cowboys fans, oh, God, let's live in that harsh reality for a second. Then we're arguing about Reed Blankenship being in pretty early on a ball that was stopped just short of the goal line. But ultimately, the officiating did go both ways, and I agree with that. But if you're the Dallas Cowboys and the multitude of opportunities that you had, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, how is your anger directed at the officials and not your team being able to punch it in from the 1-inch line? How is it not directed at Dak Prescott coming up short on a 2-point conversion? How is it not directed right there? How is it not directed at Dan Quinn, who had a hobbled Jalen Hurts coming out of halftime and allows him to come back and engineer not one, but 2 scoring drives right out of the gate to eventually put the game out of reach for the Cowboys? How are you not focusing in on that? This isn't a game to talk about officiating. This is a game to talk about the Cowboys choking. That's what happened. Here is, in all honesty, this is why I love being a part of this fan base. This is why I love being a part of this city, because this is a no BS, no excuse town. It really is. It's accountability all the time. Do we bitch about officiating? Do we complain about officiating? Yes, every fan base complains about officiating. But when it's not the lead story, I have bitched about officiating a game the Eagles have won just to keep it objective, just to keep it real, because I believe in keeping it real. So as this game is playing out yesterday, I'm thinking of all the things we'd be saying if the Eagles lost this game, and it came pretty close. But I'm watching this game yesterday, and I'm thinking, this is one of those games where, if it goes down to officiating, the Eagles have already lost the game. But the Eagles, like I've been saying, have found a way to win games, and they found a way to win this game. But all in all, the Philadelphia fan base will look at their team above officiating, and they'll say, no, they just choked that game away. Officiating, usually what I hear a lot is, officiating didn't help. And you're right, it didn't help. But they choked it away. We will call our own teams choke artists. Will Cowboys fans admit that to themselves? That they choked it away? That they had multiple opportunities, and we'll go through that fourth quarter to punch it in, and they didn't punch it in. Absolutely ridiculous. So, a couple things. Before we get into any play-by-play, just a couple of notes from yesterday. First is what I've already acknowledged, and that comes down to Jalen Hurts coming out of halftime. I was terrified. A week ago, I was watching Jalen Hurts and going, this guy can't move right. This guy can't get him out of there. Give Marcus Mariota some snaps. Just have him hold on to a game. That's all we need him to do. We don't need him to win anything. Just hold on. Jalen Hurts does not look good. Jalen Hurts ended up staying in and looking fine. And then a similar thing happened in this game, although worse. We see him literally on the ground, in pain, limping up the field, trying to walk it off. Goes into halftime. Marcus Mariota was warming up before the half. As Nick Sirianni has pointed out before, that's not always something that is instructed by the coaching staff. Sometimes Marcus Mariota just does that, so take it for what you will. But then Jalen Hurts comes out, engineers a 6-play drive that ends with a dime of a throw to Devontae Smith in that third quarter. Gorgeous throw, dropped it right in the breadbasket. Eagles are able to get the ball back from the Cowboys. You go on another drive, long, sustained drive, also ends in a touchdown. And Jalen Hurts is looking fantastic all throughout the live-long drive. All right. And the fourth quarter started, everybody forgot how to play football, except the defensive line. I give him credit for that. So that's one thing. This Jalen Hurts' health going into halftime. I'll take it as a positive that he was able to come out of halftime looking as good as he was and as good as he did. Next thing here. I had told you guys before the game, you're going to see a mix. You're going to see CeeDee Lamb get covered by Eli Ricks, Sidney Brown, James Bradbury at times, and I never even said Darius Slay just because I didn't think they were going to follow. I didn't think they were going to follow CeeDee Lamb with Darius Slay. And it has shown throughout this year that Sean Desai has opted not necessarily to do that for a good amount of it. Jonathan Gannon would do it more often. Sean Desai has elected not to do that as often. After Sidney Brown and Eli Ricks, mostly Eli Ricks in the early goings of this game, got beat like a drum by CeeDee Lamb. They then made a little bit of a switch before halftime. I would say for about the entire second quarter, it seemed like Slay started to follow CeeDee Lamb. And that started to work a little bit. And then I saw Sidney Brown back on CeeDee Lamb. Not so much Eli Ricks, but more Sidney Brown, but some Eli Ricks, and then a little bit more Darius Slay. And they just continued to get beat like a drum. Slay had the best opportunity against CeeDee Lamb in this game and cashed in on it for the most part. But they decided not to stick with it. Sidney Brown was flat out outmatched. And I know there's a lot of different things you telegraph what kind of defense you're in. Obviously, when you have one-on-one coverage in terms of, you have your defensive back following around your best wide receiver, you're giving away the coverage. Well, you gave away the coverage when Sidney Brown was lined up in the slot. Because in the rare occasion you saw him get physical, CeeDee Lamb just got right off of it. Or the Cowboys ran some confusion in the direction of Sidney Brown, and he couldn't stay with CeeDee Lamb. It was a bit of a rough one. And Eli Ricks, as great as he looked against Tyreek Hill, he looked terrible against CeeDee Lamb. And Kevin Byard trying to D up on him on times was just not great, exactly. So Sidney Brown is a safety. If you need him in a pinch to play a little bit of the nickel corner position, then by all means have him play a little bit, but don't rely on him to be stopping CeeDee Lamb. If this was a learning curve game where they felt like they could get away with it, then you know what? Good lesson for Sidney Brown. Come out better next time. But that was definitely something I was not a big fan of. The third thing I want to look at is the sacks. Again, we'll get to it in the fourth quarter here, but they were just fantastic. Here is Brandon Graham talking about his sack, as well as the Eagles' defensive line being able to get after it late in the game.
Just one play at a time. You don't know when your play going to come. That's what I stress to the guys all the time. Count. I know he's been jumping me all game, so I knew I was going inside. And it was just cool to, that Dak didn't throw that thing right away. And, man, I thought I lost him for a minute. But it was just cool, man, to make the plays that we needed to help get us out that drive, because obviously that wasn't the last drive. But, just even that two-point conversion, hustling, and, boy, that was big in the game. I was very thankful, but I know that, we got a lot of stuff to clean up. But, man, very thankful to get us off that field during that time.
We're all grateful that he was there to help them out, get off the field at that time in the fourth quarter. So that was great. And like I said, they brought the pain. The defensive line last night really helped clinch this game, this 28-3 Eagles victory. And everybody had a hand in it, and almost everybody had a hand in blowing it. Almost blowing it, I should say. But it was pretty bonkers to see a guy like Dak Prescott put up the numbers he put up last night. CeeDee Lamb put up the numbers that he put up. If you're telling me CeeDee Lamb is getting 191 yards, if you're telling me Dak Prescott is still not throwing an interception at Lincoln Financial Field, and he goes out there with a 115 quarterback rating, I'm telling you the Eagles aren't winning that football game. Oh, and they sacked him a total of 5 times in last night's game. If you're telling me he gets sacked, but he puts up those numbers, I'm telling you the Eagles aren't winning that game. Conversely, Jalen Hurts only threw the football 23 times last night, and he had a 130 passer rating. 2 touchdowns thrown, not too shabby, and a tush push as well. Those are 3 things that really jump out to me about last night's game. Some good, some bad. I did have the thought going into this game, which coordinator was under more pressure? Was it Brian Johnson? Brian Johnson, actually, I thought did a really good job last night. Sean Desai, I thought, had the most pressure. And it's for one specific reason. If he loses to the Cowboys, people go back to Jonathan Gannon with the Cardinals, a lesser team, beating the Dallas Cowboys. Sean Desai couldn't do it, but Jonathan Gannon did. That's not a good look. That's not a good look even a little bit. And Sean Desai, I think a lot of it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. He was put in a tough spot given the personnel that he has right now. And guys like Eli Ricks, guys like Sidney Brown were challenged They didn't rise to the occasion. I'm glad that he made the adjustment at times to have Darius Slay out there, and that showed to be a pretty good thing for the Eagles because they needed every ounce of getting stopped. Talking to John McMullen after the game, he had a good point. He was like, why did they ever not throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb? He was always open. Unless Darius Slay was on him, he was always wide open. Turns out last night he had something crazy like 16 targets to CeeDee Lamb. And John was like, surprised he didn't have 26 targets because they could have targeted him that many times. Eagles came away with one. Let's get into that fourth quarter because the amount of times the Eagles had with just sheer frustration. All right, here, let's start at the end of the third quarter. Eagles get the ball with 7:31 left in the fourth quarter. They're already up at this point, 21-17. They then engineer an 11-play, 87-yard drive that also includes 3 penalties, by the way. Wilson of the Cowboys had a defensive holding on a first down that ended up moving him closer to the goal line. Stephon Gilmore got called for a defensive pass interference on a throw to A.J. Brown that helped him move down the field. Hankins had Jonathan Hankins had the defensive holding when the Eagles were at their own 24-yard line that helped them move the football up. Eagles had a tush push with Jalen Hurts to help him get a first down and a 3rd and 1 from their own 22-yard line. So they were able to move the football down the field due to clear mistakes by the Cowboys, not generous calls, but clear mistakes by the Cowboys. And then you also had some big plays there for the Eagles, clutch throws there for the Eagles, including Jalen Hurts' throw to Dallas Goedert that went 28 yards on a 2nd and 10 from the Dallas 41, and Dallas Goedert unfortunately got injured on that play. It looks like he's going to be out 4 to 5 weeks. If you measure it against the same type of injury that Rob Gronkowski had had when I think he was with the Patriots. So there's some hope the Dallas Goedert season is not over. So we hope to see him back. But an unfortunate ending to what was a great play and a great throw by Jalen Hurts. So the Eagles get deep into Dallas territory after that. They get to the 13-yard line. Then they get the ball moved up on the Wilson penalty, and it goes to the 4-yard line. DeAndre Swift gets no gain, unfortunately, on a first attempt. And then the second attempt, Jalen Hurts is able to find A.J. Brown in the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown. And the Eagles go up 28-17 at the end of the third quarter. Dallas gets the ball back, and now you're starting things off in the fourth quarter. This is a wild one. One of the most interesting challenge calls, the 4th and 1 at the Philadelphia 15. Dak Prescott tries a quarterback sneak. No, not a tush push. Straight up quarterback sneak on a 4th and 1. Looked to me on the overhead angle to get it. They ruled it a first down on the field. Overhead view, you can't tell really where the ball is, but I thought they ended up getting it. But on that play, Kevin Byard gets thrown to the ground. Refs don't call anything. He gets peeled off the pile, which is against the rules, ladies and gentlemen. And Kevin Byard jumps up off the ground and starts pushing around. It wasn't Ferguson. I forget who it was for the Cowboys. But starts pushing him around. They always call the retaliation. Whether it's hockey, whether it's football, they always call the retaliation. It's not like the NBA where they'll go back and look at both and be like, oh, both guys were jerks in this scenario. Let me tee them both up. They always call the retaliatory. They never call the instigation. So in this instance, it applies. Again, Kevin Byard gets called for the unnecessary roughness. Now, here's the interesting thing. Nick Sirianni, if the Cowboys don't get the first down, then that means that the Eagles get the ball back and get knocked back half the distance to the goal. Instead of it being still Cowboys ball, and they get moved up to the 7-yard line. The 15-yard line. So Nick Sirianni challenges the spot, ruling on the field stands, and that's that. Cowboys continue to the goal line. It's a 1st and 7 from the 7, 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. Dak Prescott, short, incomplete to Ferguson. Then, 2nd and 7. Tony Pollard, left guard, only gets 3 yards. 3rd and 4. 3rd and goal from the 4. Dak Prescott scrambles, stops short of the goal line. Darius Slay, Zach Cunningham in on the action. 4th and goal from the 1. By the way, Darius Slay and Zach Cunningham made Dak Prescott do a flip. If you haven't seen Darius Slay talking about it after the game, as you would assume, it is worth hearing Darius Slay talk about it after the game. But Dak Prescott then throws to Schumacher, 1 yard shy. Nicholas Morrow's in on it. Reed Blankenship is in on it, and they can't get the goal. They reverse the touchdown. Replay reviewed. The runner broke the plane. Ruling play was reversed. Dak Prescott then throws short to Shoemaker again. This one stopped 1 yard shy of the end zone. Reed Blankenship and Nicholas Morrow in on the stop again. The Cowboys had a 1st and goal from the 7, down 28-17, and failed to score. Some controversy on this 4th and 1 play was whether or not Mike McCarthy should have gone for it or just kicked the field goal and gone down. It would have been 28-20. I say you got to go for it. On that 4th down, you got to go for it. 4th and goal from the 1, and you're going to kick a field goal? Personally, I wanted to kick a field goal because, oh my goodness gracious, that would put the Eagles in a great spot. They'd get the ball back and hopefully be able to go on a long drive, comfortable at the 25-yard line. And instead, they get backed up. So, Mike, I don't have a problem with Mike McCarthy going for it. I think that's the right call. I would want Nick Sirianni to go for it in that situation. They go for it. They don't get it. That's a shame. That's a shame. Then this is a little puzzling. Eagles get the ball back. They're on their own 1 yard line. Jalen Hurts goes up the middle on a tush push. Again, on one leg, and he's able to get 2 yards. Then they get the 2nd and 8. Jalen Hurts then throws the incomplete pass to Olamide Zaccheaus on a bullet of a throw that looked like it went through 2 people. I don't know why Zaccheaus was the intended target on that. Seth Joyner was arguing after the game, you got to make sure A.J. Brown's getting involved. He only had 2 catches in the second half. I think 9 yards. 66 yards in total in the game. 57 in the first half on 5 catches, 2 catches, 9 yards in the second half. So Olamide Zaccheaus is targeted on that. Why? I don't know. And then they throw short of the first down sticks on a little bubble screen to Devontae Smith, basically still in their own end zone, and they don't really get anything out of it. They ended up getting 3 yards on it. So now the Eagles got a punt from their own end zone, So it ended up working out for Dallas's favor in that they still got really good field position coming out. Dak Prescott then is able to engineer the 5-play, 52-yard drive that ends with great hilarity. Now, here's the deal. Eli Ricks on that drive got called for an illegal contact downfield. Also on that drive, Eli Ricks got called for defensive holding on that drive, which the Cowboys ended up turning down. They ended up declining that play. Then Tony Pollard goes up the middle. He gets a touchdown, but it's nullified. Taken off the board thanks to illegal formation. And then Dak Prescott is able to find Tolbert on James Bradbury, who had a horrendous game for the 7-yard touchdown. Prescott was able to scramble around to get that. So now it's a 28-23 Eagles lead. Dak Prescott scrambles to his right on a 2-point conversion attempt because they have to go for 2 here and try to make it a field goal game, a 3-point game. Scrambles to his right, and I swear it's just the perfect example. He's reaching out as his right foot is stepping out of bounds short of the goal line. They don't get the 2-point conversion. Eagles get the ball back, and I don't mind them running with DeAndre Swift for on the first play of another 3 and out. These are back-to-back 3 and outs here, the second of 2. Then Jalen Hurts is able to scramble for 5 yards. Jalen Hurts misses A.J. Brown on a long, deep throw. That, to me, was the worst play call of the game. I understand, you can talk about being aggressive and all that. That 3rd and 3 from their own 32-yard line was an awful play call. 28-23 at the time in favor of the Eagles. They have an opportunity to run the football up the middle again, get another yard or 2, and attempt to set up a tush push. Remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Nick Sirianni made the comment about how he was asked a question about what the tush push does for his mentality. Brotherly shove is too hard to say. Tush push is just easier. And he said, it gives me confidence and it affects my mentality in a way that every single series is a 1st and 9. The Eagles don't have 1st and 10. The Eagles have 1st and 9. That philosophy, that mentality was balled up and thrown out the window on that play call. The 3rd and 3 from their own 32. Going long to A.J. Brown. Sure, if he catches it and the Eagles are set, oh, that's great. Everyone's excited. Still, I don't like the decision. You have a play in your back pocket that get you at least 1 yard, maybe 2. You run the ball up the middle. You keep the clock going as well. There's about 4 minutes left in the game at this point. And the Eagles have an opportunity to run the ball up the middle, bleed it down to about 4 minutes and call another play, and then get a tush push involved, and you get the first down and you continue the drive. The Eagles elected not to do that. They throw deep to A.J. Brown. No chance of the play there. Eagles got a punt again. So now the Cowboys get the ball back on the Eagles' 26-yard line. They proceed to march down the field and move the ball to the Eagles' 29-yard line. All the while, James Bradbury gets called for illegal contact. They ended up declining that because it was a 7-yard play to Brandon Cooks, his first catch of the game. You see CeeDee Lamb be able to make the 21-yard reception. Sidney Brown on coverage in that one. That's when they ran the crossing pattern, and you just saw CeeDee Lamb be able to get under it and be able to make the play. Tony Pollard got 3 yards. Prescott threw it to Cooks with a 7-yard gain. Prescott threw to CeeDee Lamb again. That one was incomplete. Now you're at 2nd and 10 on the Eagles' 43-yard line. Again, Prescott can't make the completion. Prescott hits Ferguson for 12 yards. Zach Cunningham's in on the play. And then on a 1st and 10 at the 31-yard line, you need something. You need a defensive player to step up. In the last 2 games, the Eagles were able to get last-minute interceptions to help seal the deal. This particular time, it wasn't about turnovers. It was about sacks. Brandon Graham on a 1st and 10, the Eagles' 31-yard line and the Cowboys driving, gets to Dak Prescott in the backfield for a 7-yard loss. You're now 2nd and 17 at the Eagles' 38-yard line. Dak Prescott steps up again. This time he gets sacked again for a loss of 4. This one split between Jalen Carter and Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham on 2 plays, more sacks than he's had in the entire season. All of a sudden. Cowboys take the 2-minute warning. Prescott launches one or throws one to CeeDee Lamb for 13 yards. Eagles call a timeout. Then on a 4th and 8, Prescott can't hit Tolbert. This one was the best play Bradbury made all night. He's able to be right there. Close coverage to say the least. Bottom line is the refs decided to let him play. And James Bradbury right there comes up with his biggest play of the game. The Cowboys lose the football on a turnover on downs. Eagles get the ball back. Swift trying to run out the clock. Gets 3 runs. Goes for 2 yards in total. And the Eagles are forced to punt the football again. So now 3 consecutive 3-and-outs by the Eagles offense. Not great. Cowboys get the ball back. 28-23, remember. 46 seconds left in the game. Just going back and forth. You win the game. No, you win the game. No, you win the game. Dak Prescott misses Michael Gallup. They end up calling defensive pass interference on James Bradbury. James Bradbury gets banged up a little bit on the play. Ball gets moved up to midfield. So the Eagles get, again, you win the game. No, you win the game. Prescott hits Ferguson. He goes out of bounds, 10 yards. Darius Slay gets banged up on the play. Hassan Reddick gets called for roughing the passer. 2 plays right here. And Cowboys fans, once again, they would have bitched about referees. Are you kidding me? James Bradbury moves him up to the 50-yard line. Hassan Reddick moves him to the 25-yard line. Dak Prescott hits CeeDee Lamb for 14 yards. CeeDee Brown's able to make the stop. It's now 1st and 10 from the Eagles' 11. Jalen Carter gets called for encroachment. Best case. Okay, once again, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. Like 2 nice guys arguing over who's paying the check, okay, at the restaurant. What do you call it? You get to a 4-way stop sign, a Canadian, what do you call it? What is it called? Canadian crossfire? What is it? Canadian standoff. You go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. Meanwhile, just everyone's at the 4-way stop sign all day until a moose just walks right by. So here's how it goes. 1st and 10 from the 11, and this was the game. 1st and 10 from the 11, from the Eagles' 11, this was the game. Jalen Carter encroachment. Tyron Smith, false start. Dak Prescott sacked by Josh Sweat. Dak Prescott can't hit Tolbert again. And then Dallas gets called for the delay game. And on a third, now it's 3rd and 26 from the Eagles' 27-yard line. Dak Prescott drops back, needs a touchdown to win the game, throws short of the goal line to CeeDee Lamb, complete. CeeDee Lamb gets the ball around the 5-yard line. 4-yard line. And actually fumbles the football. He catches the ball, tries to make it in. The Eagles converge on him. Smart of the Cowboys to go to CeeDee Lamb in that regard. Eagles converge on him. He fumbles the football. Eagles recover. Eagles win the game. Eagles, once again, 8-1. Dallas Cowboys, 5-3. The Cowboys fans like to talk a lot of ish, as the kids say. They like to talk that ish. You can't talk a lot of ish after this game. And if you're just bitching about the referees, well, here's what I'll say to you. Jalen Carter gave you 5 yards. You gave it back. The Eagles on that final drive, pass interference. How many yards they gave you there? 36 yards right there. Hassan Reddick gave you roughing the passer. 15 yards right there. And you want to bitch about the referees. Not Dak Prescott stepping out a crucial 2-point conversion. Not the Cowboys throwing short of the goal line in the first place. Twice to your tight end. You want to bitch about the officials? Get the hell out of here. That's all I have to say about that. Eagles get the win. Eagles get the win, and how sweet it is. Here is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was asked about his overall play, and he decided just to talk about the team.
What an incredible win. What a incredible sense of perseverance and resilience from this team. Still have yet to play the complete game, and we're so hungry and eager to continue to grow and build upon the things that we've been able to do. But just wait to show up in the end. You know, obviously had some things that we want back defensively, offensively, and on special teams, but it's always about finding a way. And I just think the resiliency that this team played with, the way guys were able to be disruptive towards the end of the game, obviously offensively have to be better in managing those situations in the end of the game. But you know, that's all that matters is winning. You know, that's something that I've been saying all year.
I just can't get over the idea of the Cowboys fan actually bitching about reffing. Sorry, I'm still on it. I love everything Jalen Hurts had to say right there. But he said something there about the standard. And look, there were a lot of things yesterday with the Eagles that pissed me off. Not being able to stop CeeDee Lamb. He's a great wide receiver, but 191 yards, great. I don't think so. It's a wild thing to go back and look at, but you think about that draft with Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys giggling with excitement when CeeDee Lamb became available to them. And the Eagles obviously had Justin Jefferson right there. We don't know, revisionist. Not even revisionist history. I wanted to do it at the time. But 191 yards. I don't care how many members of your secondary are banged up. That's terrible. That's god-awful terrible. But Jalen Hurts talking about the standard is what I'll talk about. It's what Seth Joyner will talk about. It's what Mike Missinelli, Derek Gunn will talk about. It's what all of us will talk about. The fact that the Eagles are 8-1 is fan-flippin-tastic. There's nobody that is pissed off at the Eagles being 8-1. Jalen Hurts became the youngest quarterback since 1970, the merger, to have back-to-back 8-1 starts to the season. There are some pretty impressive names I'll rattle off to you that are on that list, and I'll get them to you after the. Let's see, do I have it right here? Do I actually have my notes ready to go? What? No, that's impossible. Jalen Hurts, the 7th quarterback in NFL history, well, since the merger there, to start 8-1 or better through 9 games in consecutive years, joining Peyton Manning, John Elway, Troy Aikman, Jim Kelly, Roger Staubach, and Burt Jones of the 1976-1977 Baltimore Colts. Hurts is the youngest of those quarterbacks to do it. Peyton Manning, John Elway, Troy Aikman, Jim Kelly, Roger, Hall of Fame. Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy that the Eagles are 8-1. But that ain't the point. The Eagles are better than their record. The Eagles' standard, I should say, is better than their record. The Eagles' standard is better than their record. Because their standard isn't about the regular season. Their standard is about a Super Bowl. That's the bar the Eagles have set. So it's not about measuring them about necessarily beating the Cowboys. It's not necessarily about measuring them about beating the Dolphins. It's not about, they really dominated the Buccaneers in week 2. It's not about that. It's about, are they good enough to win a Super Bowl? Will we see them make enough adjustments in game to win a Super Bowl? Will we see them play at a level, call plays at a level, be aggressive enough at that level, be accurate enough, not give the other team opportunities, mentally tough? Will they be that much better by the time a Super Bowl appearance rolls around? By the time the playoffs roll around? That's the standard. The standard isn't right now just beating the Cowboys. It's part of it. Being 8-1 is a nice standard to have, but the Eagles are above that. And Jalen Hurts right there talks about it. Being better than their record. That's about being the standard. And to me, I love a team that plays to a standard. Because do we not hold the team at a high standard? When you go to a Super Bowl, look how disappointed we are in the Phillies. The standard was to go to the World Series. They didn't do it. That's pretty damn disappointing. And I still think about it. I go, that's a gut punch. Zach Wheeler won a Gold Glove Award yesterday. And I was like, oh, yeah, baseball. I saw that pop up. Bob Nightingale tweeted out the winners. And I saw that pop up. We were at one of the breaks during the postgame show, and I went, oh, God, gut punch Phillies. But the Eagles won. The standard changes. The optics change. And when the Eagles are this good a football team, it's not just about the record. It's about what you're going to look like when it really matters. Postseason, Super Bowl, NFC Championship game. Because the mistakes they made in this game, Kevin Byard, a veteran, 2-time All-Pro, he knows going to get tagged for that penalty. And yet he jumps up and oh, my bad, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you're right, you shouldn't have done that. Terrible. But when Jalen Hurts mentions the standard, that's really what is the ultimate. That's what matters above all else. Record's great. You can be one of the top teams in the NFL, still have a shot to win a Super Bowl, obviously. But when you're a team just coming off it, everyone wants to talk about how no team has ever lost a Super Bowl, then come back and win it. Yeah, that's a little bit of Super Bowl hangover, they say. Eagles 8-1, they ain't showing any signs of that. So their standard remains the same. Super Bowl or bust. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with we'd be happy they're 8-1. All right, let's do the 8-1 show. Okay, let's do the 8-1 show. Isn't Jalen Hurts great? He's so great. Isn't Nick Sirianni so great? He's great. Isn't Brian Johnson great? Look, he's great. They're 8-1. And they're great. They're great. Okay, I'm bored already. And it's not just about that. The bigger picture is what you have to keep in mind here. 8-1 is a beautiful picture. I'd hang it on my wall for one day, and then I'd take it down and then just worry about being 9-1. I'd enjoy the hell out of the bye. You know what? Keep up 8-1. Keep it up for a week. It's the bye week. 7-1, I'd keep up for a 24-hour period, then take it down, and then get right after it. But this team being more concerned with the standard than a record, I think, is a lot more important. Here is Jalen Hurts again after the game, talking about improving on an 8-1 start, and this is kind of how most people think about it.
Well, I think it's obviously about being efficient, executing, and getting first downs when you're in that point in the game. That's what it was, and we failed to do that. And so that is something that we want to continue to get better at. We have to get better at that if we want to be the team we want to be. You look at last week's game, the Jets game, where these things have come up. And so we can't be repeat offenders. We can't make the same mistakes over and over again. We're having this conversation. I have this demeanor here, and I have this hunger in my heart. So we're sitting here 8-1. So that's a very great feeling. Yet, it's about winning, but it's about the standard too. And so we just want to continue to raise that standard and play the type of ball we want to play.
Keep playing that standard, baby. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback right there that went into halftime on one leg, came out dropping dimes. Let me go back to that real quick. Third quarter. Jalen Hurts, he hobbles on. He hopped off the field on one leg. He had his other leg and his left knee and his left leg over his shoulder, and he was just hopping into the trainer's, Nick Sirianni's office. I was told because it's a more comfortable chair. I think that's a joke. Anyway, he goes in there, gets the IV, so maybe there was some, what do you call it, dehydration that could cause some cramping throughout the body. Whatever the case may be, whatever they did, he came out firing. Here you go. Here are the 6 plays, 60 yards, 3 minutes, 37-second drive that the Eagles had to go up 21-17 coming out of the half. And first off, I think a lot of Eagles fans know that the Eagles really don't even start playing until after halftime anyway, especially if they're trailing in the first half. That means they got the team right where they want them, especially if that team is the Washington Commanders. But Rashad Penny. Okay, Rashad Penny steps up. He carries the football 6 yards. Holy hell, he actually looked quick to the line of scrimmage and he got you 6 yards. I'd like to see more of that. They give him the ball again. He only gets 2 yards. Never see him again. Brilliant. So now it's third and 2. Jalen Hurts scrambles for 4 yards. DeAndre Swift carries the ball for 8 yards in the 1st and 10 from the 48, the Dallas 48. 2nd and 2 from the Dallas 40. Jalen Hurts scrambles around, buys time, goes to his right, hits DeAndre Swift in stride for 11 yards. Then Jalen Hurts on a 1st and 10 from the Dallas 29, drops back, sees Devontae Smith, lofts the ball to him, drops it in the breadbasket, touchdown. Eagles go up 21-17, just like that. That guy's playing on one leg? I don't think so. Whatever they did at halftime, I want that. Whatever they got, if it's a pill, if it's in the IV, whatever magic potion they had, oh my goodness gracious, that would be amazing. I would really love to have that. The Eagles are then able to get the Cowboys to give the ball back after a nice little drive there by the Cowboys. Comes up with nothing. Eagles get the ball back. They then engineer an 11-play, 87-yard drive that ends with the A.J. Brown touchdown. Not too shabby. Jalen Hurts was asked about getting hit in the knee. Here's Jalen Hurts about that knee injury.
I don't really know what to say. It was a gritty win. It was a tough win. Much respect to that team. I'm always very competitive and have great players. But I don't think the bye week could come at a better time.
That just tells you all you need to know. He said that twice at the press conference as far as the knee went. The bye week couldn't come at a better time. At the end of the press conference, he said, selfishly, the bye week couldn't come at a better time. Meaning the team is hot as hell. We don't want to stop. But for me, the knee, it's time to stop. This is why whenever there's an injury to a quarterback, your franchise quarterback most notably, it's a concern. For the man, it's not even a story. Really? People talk about how about the back-to-back, three and outs in a row by the Eagles. Jalen Hurts coming out firing. Jalen Hurts coming out looking mobile is great. It's fantastic. But I'd rather him not have a knee issue. I'd opt for him not to have a knee issue. All right. Last thing from Jalen Hurts. You ready for this? I invoke T.O. on this. I invoke that's my quarterback. Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia, asked a great question. He had talked to some guys in the locker room. He went up to Jalen Hurts after the game. He said, hey, look, a lot of guys are saying that it really, when they see you fighting through an injury, they're like, if he's doing that, I'm going to do this. If he can fight through that, I'm not going to let my quarterback waste this kind of effort with a bum knee. The man was on one leg. I'm going to waste that? I don't think so. So here is Jalen Hurts when he was asked the question about rallying himself and how that rallies everybody else around him. That's my quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. Take a listen to this.
I don't like it being that way. I don't like it being that way. I love to be all good and, but, as I said, man, I do anything for this city and for my teammates. And it takes what it takes, and that's simply put, whatever it takes. And I'm just happy that we were able to gut out this win and we showed so much resilience.
That's my quarterback for my city, for my team. I don't want it to be this way, but if this is the way it's got to be, this is the way it's got to be. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Love Jalen Hurts. I'm going to miss him over this week. I think we're all going to miss him. Guess we'll just have to watch the Sixers win every game ever. Hopefully the Flyers get off the snide. You know what I'm saying? Well, they had a big one. Whatever. So we'll get to that. But I got one more thing for you from Nick Sirianni. But before we get there, let me tell you about the great people at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Take advantage of all MyBookie has to offer at MyBookie.ag. You know what MyBookie's got? It's got it. You see it in the crawl right there. Go to MyBookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy for up to $100 redeemable when it comes to your cash prize at MyBookie and your cash bonus at MyBookie.ag. For all they have to offer throughout the football season, take advantage of everything. Because if you found a $100 bill on the ground, you want to just walk past it? No, you'd pick it up. MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds, contests to fill out all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. So you can turn that sports knowledge that you have into cash money in your wallet. Bet on the NFL. Bet on just about anything. Play and share with big cash prizes in the weekly blackjack tournaments. Hit me. If you've been waiting for the right time to get on all the action, then now is the time with MyBookie. Sign up at MyBookie and use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy and claim the deposit match redeemable up to $100. Again, that's promo code Farzy to claim your cash bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your own home. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. Only with MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Before we get into the chat check, one last thing from our man, Nick Sirianni. Here he is about being at this point, 8-1. Obviously not a perfect record. Damn Jets. But still working on everything they have to work on throughout the bye.
There's always room for improvement, and we'll continue to work on things, the details, the ball security, the ability to take the football away. You know, that's something we're going to continue to work on. What Bill Parcells say, you are what your record says you are. So we're in a good spot right now, and we're going to enjoy this bye week at 8-1, and we're going to get ready for the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously is a great football team, and just continue to try to bust our butts to get better each day. When you're truly in that mindset and you're willing to get better each day, no matter how you feel, that's got to be the mindset. I'm tired today. Oh, we're 8-1 today. Oh, we're 2-8 today. Whatever the heck it is, you have to be in a mind. It's a mental challenge, and you have to be mentally tough to say I'm gonna get better today, and I'm gonna treat today.
Goes on with that, and it's the right mindset. That's the thing that made me absolutely have confidence in this team before the season. Yeah, sure. Jalen Hurts being great, A.J. Brown being great, Devontae Smith being great. Everyone's great. Right. The thing I loved about this team the most, the thing that did not make me fear a Super Bowl hangover, was their mentality. It was their mindset. It was their leadership. It is their leadership. It is their mindset. It is their mentality. That's what makes me have confidence in this Philadelphia Eagles team. Every team can have an imperfect day, wildly imperfect, i.e. the New York Jets game. But what makes a team last throughout a season and to be one of the truly elite upper echelon teams, Super Bowl contending teams, what makes them that is their mentality and their approach. This team does not rest on their laurels. And that's what I absolutely love about this team. They have the leadership in place. They have the coaching in place to make sure that never happens. So 8-1, and your quarterback's talking about improving. Your coach is talking about improving. They're talking about the blemishes, not just on their record, but in the games individually, things they should have done better. 3rd and 3 deep ball to A.J. Brown. Let's not do that next time. Run it up the middle, push, first down, keep the game going, keep the drive going. There are blemishes throughout this. We all know this. We see each one because we watch every play. I love the idea that the coach and the quarterback are on the same page in this regard, and I love the fact that people in the locker room are talking about the same thing as well. That's what makes me have confidence in this team making it back to a Super Bowl. The fact that they don't take anything for granted. They're not looking past opponents. And then the best part about it is he says you are what your record are. I think the Eagles are better than the record says they are. Because I see them as a Super Bowl team. We all know, we've all watched enough sports in our lifetimes. Just look at this pass again. MLB playoffs. Best team in baseball isn't exactly winning everything. Rangers actually were pretty good. But an 84-win team beat a 90-win team, a 90-win team, but a 100-plus win team. It's insane. Happens all the time in football. How many wild card teams? They had to change the format of the wild card because too many wild card teams were winning it. It's insane. Absolutely nuts. Let me get to the chat check here before I get running. I want to make sure I get everybody in here, as many as possible. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Let me just say that right out of the gate. Sean Gillespie, Jeff, Mally, April. I'm on the Farzy Show page right now. I'll flip over to Jacob Media in just a second. Oh, Lord, here we go. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? IBH, what's going on? A win is a win, but boy, was it a nail-biter, Farzy. Sean Kilrain couldn't agree more. Thank you, Dak Bigfoot Prescott, says IBH. Sean Kilrain, we definitely have the address to address the secondary issues, especially with Bradbury. Would you guys have been up for a Rasul Douglas reunion? He got moved at the deadline. I wouldn't have minded that. He got moved to play with a quarterback that once told him he sucked at Josh Allen. Bills didn't look so great last night. Much needed bye. I agree. April, hello again. Good morning. David, that ending was bonkers. Woo! Mike Fuji, what's going on? Mihai Sanchez, why did that game have to be so intense? Well, because there's no other way. April, Dak going to be Dak. April, it's great to see you on the postgame show. The dome was sparkling. Thank you. Freshly polished. Let me, Mally, that's my quarterback. All right, hop over to Jacob Media, see how you guys are doing over here. K. Rowley, can we double CD next game? Not a horrible idea. Stan Silio, hilarious. Brian Johnson likes to keep the game and other teams in the game with his play calling. That is very kind. I bet Dallas is out 8 weeks. Dallas Goedert, it's very possible. I'm talking about the best case scenario, 4 to 5. Once again, trying to be cute, make a statement play. Yeah, I agree. Dirty D, 3rd and 8 game on the line. That's what BJ draws up. What was he thinking? I agree. 3rd down play to A.J. Brown was the worst call of the season. Marcus H., I agree. Fandalorian, great name. The crazy thing is that we get the run game going. Good luck, everyone. And, if the Eagles get the run game good luck, everyone, because Jalen is the number 1 in 3rd down and number 1 in the NFL trailing. Yes, absolutely. Seth Joyner's correct about the Chiefs. I agree. They're going to have something for the Eagles, that's for sure. Sammy Khan, what's up? You got to shed a tear when you say that's my quarterback. I know, I'm sorry. That's a bad impression. Love it. Absolutely love it. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic. As per usual, this is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Make sure you guys also check out the wonderful people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Also, check out our friends at Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning for the Farzy Show yet again. We'll look back on this game, go through some of the highlights, also some of the injury news that will come out surrounding Dallas Goedert, Nakobe Dean, and many others that went down in this game, unfortunately. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a fantastic job. This is the Farzy Show. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Coming up at 8 o'clock today, Birds 365 with John McMullen and Jody McDonald. See you guys later. Take it easy.